Trozo HR Inc. is a provider of HR-based software as a service solutions to manage payroll, time tracking, onboarding, employee record keeping, and benefits. They want to increase customer satisfaction across the entire customer journey and lifecycle, which they believe will decrease customer churn, improve share of wallet, and attract net new businesses to choose Trozo HR. Larry is a senior onboarding and training manager at Trozo HR. Larry has been with Trozo for 5 years and loves helping SMBs get up and running on Trozo HR. Shauna is a hardware support specialist for Trozo HR time clock hardware and an expert on the time tracking software. She provides support for hardware issues, software synchronization, general time tracking questions, and integration to payroll. Jerry is an HR specialist with Trozo HR. He provides support for everyday questions, assistance with best practice guides, HR forms, policies, and the Trozo HR employee handbook template. Joanna is a dedicated partner account executive at Trozo. Her job is to help affiliated accountants use the software on behalf of their clients. She has 10 firms that she's responsible for, including Tina's. She is often the first call affiliated accountants make when they have questions about Trozo. Anne co-owns Coffee Nook with her husband Daniel. They have just purchased Trozo HR to help modernize and streamline the employee management side of the business. Anne works on the day-to-day marketing and operations and works with her small business accountant on the finances. Daniel's focus is on operations, from roasting the coffee to hiring and training the staff to work the storefronts. He's also responsible for the employee schedule and approving the timesheets. Nico is Daniel's right-hand man. Daniel has asked him to help manage the employee scheduling and make sure everyone is signing in and out of the new time tracking program. Tina is Anne and Daniel's accountant and bookkeeper. She recommended Trozo HR to Anne. She has many clients who use the software to manage payroll and HR, so much so that she became an affiliated accountant with Trozo. She will start managing the payroll through Trozo HR with Anne, mostly preparing payroll runs and quarterly tax filings. In this use case, Larry will onboard and train Anne, who was on her laptop at the home office, and Daniel, who was on his mobile device. So Anne is scheduled for an onboarding session with Larry, who calls her at the designated appointment time. On the phone call, Larry introduces himself and then asks Anne to go to the Trozo website and sign in. After Anne signs in, Larry invites Anne to a Glance session. This is how the prompt to join the session looks to Anne. Nothing to install or download. She simply accepts the invite and they are connected in Trozo HR's digital property. Trozo can choose to display their own terms and conditions or use the language that Glance provides. Anne can choose at this point to be on camera or not, or to blur her background. If she wants to start the session not on camera and then move to camera, or start with an unblurred background and move to a blurred one, she can do so after the session begins. When Anne accepts, she is joined to the Glance session where she can see Larry on video. After pleasantries are exchanged, Larry reduces the video size so they may more effectively collaborate. Larry can now see Anne's screen in the Glance session, and he gestures by clicking with his cursor to highlight where Anne should click to get started. They walk through the process of adding Anne's employees together. From Larry's point of view during the Glance session, masking ensures that he cannot see any private or protected information about Anne's employees. Once they're done covering off employee ads, Anne asks if her husband Daniel can join the training as they cover payroll. So they use multi-way co-browse to add Daniel to the session. Larry or Anne can forward Daniel the link, and when he clicks the link, he gets connected to the session via his mobile browser. Everything about the experience works the same on a mobile browser. At the link destination, Daniel reads the code to Larry so he can securely join the session. So Larry enters the code, and Daniel is joined to the session. And then Larry shows Anne and Daniel how to run payroll for their team. Customers and associates on the session are represented by different colored highlight indicators and cursors. This adds clarity for all participants. The interaction ends with all parties having collaborated and communicated effectively, elevating the service experience and resulting in great customer satisfaction. In this use case, Nico is having hardware trouble with Trozo's time tracking system, so he receives both hardware and software support from Shauna. Shauna also demos new functionality at the end of the call. Coffee Nook has been having trouble with the time clock and key fobs that Trozo HR provides as part of the time tracking system. Nico calls customer support and reaches Shauna, a remote field technician and expert in the time tracking hardware and software. Shauna brings up Nico's record in Salesforce, Trozo's CRM. Shauna needs to see what Nico is describing, so she asks if he can engage in a Glance mobile camera share session, which allows Nico to use his mobile device camera to help Shauna see the time clock wall system. Nico agrees, and Shauna sends an SMS request to Nico's mobile phone. Nico accepts the prompt on his phone to share his device camera with Shauna. Shauna can now see the Trozo hardware device through Nico's mobile camera and can guide Nico through a series of steps to help troubleshoot any issues. They discover that a cable is coming loose. It seems the time tracking system is installed in a high-traffic area where the cable is getting bumped during the course of the day. Together, they relocate the hardware to a more convenient but less trafficked spot near the back office. Once the hardware issue is resolved, Shauna asks Nico if he was able to manually enter all of the hours for employees whose tokens did not scan while the time clock device was out of service. Nico has logged the hours, but on a separate spreadsheet outside of the system, and now he needs to input them. So Shauna offers to walk him through entering the hours manually. They stay on the phone, and Shauna asks Nico to log into his Trozo account, and she'll join him there to help him out. So Nico logs into Trozo's time tracking software on his computer. Since Shauna has Nico's customer record pulled up in Salesforce, she sees the join button turn orange, which indicates Nico's presence when he logs in. So she simply clicks the join button to send Nico the Glance session invite. Nico sees the Glance session invite pop up and accepts the terms and conditions. They are both now joined to the Glance collaboration session, and Shauna walks Nico through the steps of manually adding employee hours. Once they finish up, Nico mentions how much his employees love receiving Trozo's updates when their pay has been direct deposited. So he asks if there's a way to also notify them of their schedule, since they enjoy the convenience of the pay notifications so much. Shauna says yes, and asks Nico if he keeps employee schedule information somewhere other than Trozo today. And yes, Nico has a Google Calendar that he uses for employee scheduling. Shauna says that she can walk him through the steps of syncing his employee Google Calendar with Trozo, which will enable his employees to receive Trozo scheduling updates, and Nico is thrilled. So Shauna uses the Glance screen share feature to send Nico a request to view his screen. Nico then accepts the screen share request. Nico can choose to share his entire screen, or just an application window, or simply a browser tab. He chooses to share his entire screen. Shauna can now see his screen, and they work together to sync his Google Calendar with the Trozo calendar. Note that Nico can stop sharing his screen whenever he needs to. Once they complete the calendar sync, Shauna mentions that there is a new feature on their recent release and asks if Nico has a few minutes to review. Nico agrees and stops his screen share so Shauna can now begin sharing her screen. Shauna then navigates to her screen share button and clicks on the approved site to share her screen with Nico. Shauna then shows Nico the new HR tool functionality on which all Trozo company support reps have just been trained. These new features are designed to help small businesses with basic HR functionality, including employee handbooks and other HR documents. Nico is excited as he was just talking about needing to update the employee handbook recently. The interaction ends with the customer, Nico, satisfied with a unique, personalized customer experience that helps build trust and loyalty. In this use case, Anne works with HR specialist Jerry on an employee handbook consultation in the moment as she is working to learn the new Trozo employee handbook feature. Anne has learned from Nico that Trozo HR has employee handbook templates. This is great because the Coffee Nook employee handbook needs to be updated. She has a few questions about the templates, so she reaches out for assistance via web chat on the Trozo website. So Anne begins her interaction with the Trozo website chatbot. The chatbot responds with two options. She can either go to the Learning Center to explore help content on her own, or she can be connected with a live Trozo HR specialist. Anne selects the live help, and the bot connects her to an HR specialist. Anne chats with Jerry, who offers to join her in a Glance session to collaborate. She has participated in a session before and knows this is an easy way for Jerry to help her. And it just takes one click inside Jerry's Salesforce console to start a Glance session so he can join Anne right there on the Trozo webpage where they've been chatting. Then it's just one click on Anne's side to accept and start the Glance collaboration session. At this point, Jerry and Anne can keep chatting throughout the Glance session, or, if more convenient, Jerry can always give her a call. Jerry and Anne work together using Trozo's template to build an employee handbook for Coffee Nook. The interaction ends with Jerry easily answering the customer Anne's questions, helping to drive a deeper relationship and build brand loyalty. Trozo HR knows that helping their accounting partners be on the same page as their clients helps the accountants deliver a great client experience, which also impacts the overall perception of Trozo HR. Tina is an independent accountant who helps Anne work payroll for Coffee Nook. As a Trozo partner, she is authorized not only to serve her customers in Trozo software, but also she can use Glance just as if she were a Trozo employee. In this use case, Tina needs information from Anne in order to complete the business taxes in Trozo. So Tina will invite Anne to a Glance session, use the Doc Share feature to show her the payroll tax information, and exchange a signed document she needs from Anne to complete the job, all without a Trozo rep. When Anne has a question about new functionality in the HR software, Tina reaches out to her contact at Trozo, Joanna, who joins the Glance session to teach them both about the new functionality. Tina is Anne and Daniel's bookkeeper and accountant, and also manages payroll for Coffee Nook. She is not a Trozo employee, but is an affiliated accountant and authorized by Anne and Daniel to work in the company's account. Tina is preparing this period's payroll, but has some questions about the tip entries and hiring bonuses. So she calls Anne, who happens to be out of town visiting her mother. While on the phone, Tina tries to explain the information she needs, but Anne isn't quite following. Trozo HR has enabled their affiliate accountants with the ability to collaborate in Glance sessions with their clients for moments such as this. So Tina asks if Anne can join a Glance session. Anne agrees, grabs her iPad, and goes to the link Tina provides. Tina asks Anne to sign into the website, and when she gets the presence indicator, Tina clicks Join and invites Anne to a Glance session. Tina gets her questions answered regarding Coffee Nook's hiring bonuses. Tina then needs to review the minimum wage credit calculations with Anne using Document Share. So Tina selects Doc Share and chooses a document from her computer. Tina then clicks and drags the document into the window. Tina is then able to preview her document before sharing it with Anne. Anne and Tina review the document together to confirm the new calculations that Tina is using. Tina can also request that Anne share a document with her. This is a document that Tina previously emailed for Anne to sign and return. They can exchange it right here in Document Share, so Tina sends a request for Anne to share and upload the signed version. Anne then receives and accepts the document share request. She then clicks and drags the signed tax document into the window. Anne can then use Preview to ensure she's going to share the correct document before she shares it with Tina. Tina then downloads the signed document, and she can now complete the taxes in Trozo on Anne's behalf. Anne then asks Tina if the Coffee Nook logo can be printed on payroll checks instead of the default Trozo design. Tina is fairly certain that the logo edit feature is available, but to be sure, she reaches out to her rep at Trozo, Joanna. Joanna says yes, the logo edit feature was recently released, and if they're both free now, she can join their Glance session and show them how to change the logo printed on Coffee Nook's payroll checks. So Tina sends Joanna a link to join the active Glance session. And Joanna is able to join the session to walk both Anne and Tina through the process of changing the logo printed on payroll checks. The interaction ends with the customer Anne's needs being met in the moment, and the affiliate Tina is now able to assist other clients with this feature in the future. Glance's ability to bring people together at the right moment to provide genuine hands-on support has resulted in greater affiliate product knowledge, end customer satisfaction, and greater trust in the Trozo brand.